a quart of wheat for a denarius and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil or the wine. So right now, this is about a quart of hard red organic wheat. 82 cents a pound is what it is right now. And about 2 pounds in here in this quart. It's 0.85 kilograms, which is roughly 2 pounds. So about $1.64 for a quart of wheat here. I can't imagine this going for a day's wages, but the Bible says that at some point there's going to be hyperinflation and a quart of wheat is going to go for a day's wages. So my wife turned me on to this Sue Becker. She was being interviewed by a guy named Dr. Ben, and it was a great interview. I was a little bit like, food is not my thing. I'm not really a foodie. But she said, you're going to like this. And when Sue was talking, I was like, my eyes were open. This is the same solution for food crises that Joseph had in the book of Genesis. There's going to be 7 lean fat years and there'll be 7 lean years. So store up when there's a lot and then you'll use it when it's little. I never even thought about, well, how do they keep that grain good for so long? Did you know that a kernel of wheatberry will not go bad until it's broken open? They've pulled some of those wheat berries out of Egyptian tombs, planted them in the ground, and they start to sprout. So this is not just potential bread. It's also potential seed for your fields. You can put this in your fields and sow it, and it'll grow up fresh grain. Again, this is hard red organic wheat from a company called Azure Standard. So I was shocked when I started hearing Sue Becker talk about the storability of wheat berries, that they stay good forever. And so what I've done is we put it in these Mylar bags. And then, you can put oxygen tablets in there. We have it. You can seal this up with a heat press. We have it. You could put these in those big 27-gallon yellow top totes and even throw some silica in there, maybe put a bead of caulk around the outside, put that on there, and then it's airtight, good forever. The 3 things that are going to mess up your wheat are rodents, bugs, and moisture, humidity, moisture. So if you can make sure that nothing can get in there, that would be like, this is sealed, and then this is sealed inside the tote, and that's sealed. And if it's in a reasonable temperature, it's going to stay good forever, longer than anything you're going to find on the market here. We've had a little bit of a history with this stuff. We came home from overseas, actually, maybe 2015, we were living up in Colorado, and there's a lot of people that they're not necessarily preppers, but they prepare for emergencies more so in those cold climates where they might get snowed in. So we got some food storage when we were up there, and there's a lot of companies selling that stuff now. And it was fine, it was okay, but it was really expensive, and you kind of hope it's worth eating when you need to eat it. We cracked some open, and it was not horrible, but it was not great either. Fast forward a little bit, we realized, wow, if we're going to get like 3 months of food, then we could buy a freeze dryer for the same price that we got 3 months of food with our family of 6. And so we invested in a freeze dryer. Now this was super cool. We got a Harvest Right freeze dryer, and it was great. We freeze dried eggs. We freeze dried all sorts of stuff, and it was yummy, and it could be reconstituted mostly. And then we did these candies, like we did Skittles. If you tried freeze dried Skittles, man, they're really good. So my daughter did a bunch of batches of them. We bought a bunch of freeze-dried Skittles, and she sold them at one of her school fairs or whatever, made a ton of money for her. And it was a lot of fun. But anyhow, there's a lot of things you can do with the freeze dryer. Good stuff. It takes a long time. Electricity is not too bad, but it takes like 24, 36 hours to do a run of that stuff. And you just can't do very much. It's not like a good long-term solution. It doesn't seem like. Fast forward to Sue Becker, and you're just sealing up. Like this is the final process in the freeze drying, is putting in Mylar bags and sealing it up. And that's the only step. And you're putting these wheat berries in there, maybe with a few oxygen tablets. Wow, what a solution. But how does it taste? So I started eating freshly milled bread made with freshly milled flour. And I'll tell you what, it changes everything. First thing I noticed the day of, maybe the next day. Second thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed was I could breathe through my nose again. Like I had been stuffed up for so long. I didn't realize that I couldn't breathe through my nose. So that's one thing. Second thing was it cleans you. I guess the first thing, it cleans you out. It makes you go to the bathroom. And not to go into detail, I've never had much problem with that, but I know a lot of people do. And our son, we have a special needs son, and his bathroom routines we kind of orient our life around it a little bit. So this has been huge for that, like getting him regular on the potty. I know a lot of people, young and old, can have issues related to this. Another thing that was really unique, I wasn't expecting, is I stopped craving sugar. Now, I'm still eating sugar here and there, but in general, I didn't want to eat sugar like I did before. Like this satisfied me when I wasn't looking for a snack here and a snack there on other stuff. This was sufficient. It doesn't take very much to fill you up. So I have a little bit of bread whenever I want to eat something in the morning, and then in the afternoon, just a little bit, some butter on it, maybe a little, just something small. And it doesn't take very much to fill you up. It is much more filling. Sue Becker, Sue, she says that 40 of the 43 nutrients for life are in that little seed packet, that little wheat berry. And interestingly, that we all milled our own wheat we didn't like locally. Like there was a mill. There's probably 3 or 4 in Waco. There's probably 3 or 4 in the city where you are. Here, spread out sporadically. Maybe someone had them in their home. Maybe someone had a way to do it, and they probably had some way to do it at your house if you needed to. But it wasn't until the teens, like 100 years ago, a little over 100 years ago here in America, that they realized that they could separate out the wheat and the bran and the germ from the rest of the wheat. And the wheat would stay good for so long. It would stay, the flour would stay good on the shelf after it was milled longer if they took bran and germ out of it. And then they found a secondary market to sell that to the cattle as cattle feed, making money hand over fist. The problem was when they did that, when they took the parts out of the wheat berry, it was not as healthy. And there were some mental diseases and there were some physical diseases, and people traced it back to, hey, when we separated out the bran and the germ, that was the problem. And then they wanted them to put it back in, but the people that were doing it didn't want to, because they had this fat cash cow over here with bran and germ for the cows. So they would fortify it with other things. Taking away that mill, the local mill, and putting it so that the wheat can stay good on the shelves forever, big mistake. And we need to revert back to milling our own wheat, in my opinion. So here's how we do it. We got hot water, oil, honey or brown sugar or some sort of sweetener that you like. Lecithin, we put lecithin in there sometimes, usually, but we don't have to. And that is an emulsifier. And I forget what exactly it does, but it kind of like breaks things down a little bit more, so it's easier for your body to receive it. Then we have the freshly milled flour, salt, and we put in a little yeast. My family, my wife and I got really into this, or we wanted to get into it. So we said, let's give it to each other for our birthday. So end of April, early May, it all comes. And we got a NutriMill Classic, and we got a Zojirushi bread maker, which is like an expensive bread maker, but they're going to come down for sure. The reason why we had to go with this one is because it you can program it. And working with freshly milled flour, you need to be able to program it, because all the presets, if you're using normal flour on these bread makers that are more affordable, like under $500, under $400 rather, the presets don't really work with freshly milled flour. It's just different. So with the Zojirushi, we can program it ourselves. Put all those ingredients in the Zojirushi, press play with these settings, and 2 hours later, we get a fresh loaf of bread. Pretty awesome. So I've been getting wheat berries from Azure Standard. We like them a lot. They do a lot of innovative things, and they want to help. It seems like they're a company that really wants to help people eat organically healthy, and they have some price savings way to do that. So I'm going to leave the link in the description below. I hope this helps. Hope your family gives it a try, and I hope it's a blessing for you guys like it was for us.